All right, welcome. We're going to go ahead and get started here, everybody. We're going to talk today about the Introduction to Air Pollution project. Um, there's been some questions on this. So before we do that, I wanted to talk to you a little bit about the lesson because there's information that you're going to need to carry over from the lesson as part of the submission for the project. So a couple things I wanted to talk to you about, okay? Um, so first, before we really get into things, we need to talk a little bit about the objectives. So the project really wants you to be able to understand and create a definition for air pollution, be able to differentiate between primary and secondary pollutants, identify common air pollutants and their sources specific to the region that you live in, describe common sources of indoor air pollution, and explain the effects of outdoor and indoor air pollution as it relates to human health. Okay, so air pollution really does have a profound effect on the way we as individuals live, and certain diseases like lung cancer and emphysema and asthma and bronchitis really can all be perpetuated from breathing in polluted air. Okay, now the good news is that your lungs can certainly heal themselves from these conditions, but cumulatively and over time, there's a point where of no return where these organs can't heal themselves, and that's different for every individual. So um, when we talk about air pollution, um, think about growing up as a kid, um, and your teachers asked you, draw a picture, and your picture included the sky, and you always chose blue. Or for at least most of us chose blue for the sky, especially in the United States. Okay, but think about this. Imagine if you were unable to see the sky because of smoke or haze or dust or other stuff in the air. Okay, so really the goal of this is really to learn about air pollution and the presence of those substances that exist that are high enough to be harmful to us, to other organisms, to ecosystems as a whole. Okay. When you look at the statistics, the World Health Organization really indicates that about 2.4 million people die every year from causes that are directly attributable to air pollution. That's substantial, okay? So when you look at common air pollutants, there are tons of things that can be classified as pollutants, whether they're primary or secondary, okay? Things primary pollutants are those that are directly emitted from a source, okay, such as ashes from a volcano or carbon dioxide coming out of the tailpipes of our cars. Sulfur dioxide from the combustion of coal and oil, or nitrogen dioxide that's also emitted from coal plants or automobiles. Carbon monoxide is another one. Okay, toxic metals such as lead and mercury are a result from the combustion of fossil fuels in industrial processes. We have particulates that are, solid or liquid that are suspended in air. They help, they reduce visibility. They can become trapped in our lungs. From places like volcanoes or dust storms or forest fires. Okay. VOCs, volatile organic compounds. We don't even think about these many times. Okay, these compounds come from landfills. They come from tobacco smoke. They come from things like paints, the things that we actually put in our homes. Um, they can cause cancer. They can cause blood disorders. They can cause immune system changes. Um, so we need to be very very vigilant with regards to these materials. Radon, okay? Radon, especially in Pennsylvania, is huge because we live on farmland. It's a radioactive, colorless, odorless gas that's found in soil and rock, and it can seep into homes and building, and the long-term exposure can cause cancer. CFCs are another example of primary pollutants. Secondary pollutants, pollutants that are not emitted directly, like smog and ground level ozone. These react or combine with other substances in the environment and primary pollutants to become very very hazardous. Okay, So your lesson does a fantastic job of going over over all of these pollutants and what they do, and how they, how they really play a role in air quality. So um, if you go through the lesson, what's a real important piece, and it's a real nice thing here, but the project actually discusses a lot about the air quality index. Okay, so one of the parts of your project is going to be asking you about the air quality index in your area. Okay, and it says here that the air quality index basically measures the amount of air pollution that is present in the region that you live in. Okay, it indicates how polluted your air is, and then how your health might be affected by that pollution at that particular time. Okay, so you can find this information, which talks about the air quality in your area. Every day you can check it out, because sometimes it's the same and sometimes it's different. But when you click this link, okay, it's going to take you to this website, and the website is called Air Now. All right. And what you're going to do is you're going to use that information to find the air quality for your area. Okay. So let's flop over here to the project. Okay. Um, and talk a little bit about this. So for part one, it talks about submitting an air quality report for your area, showing 7 days, the air quality color for each day and each day's major pollutants. Okay, says this information should have been obtained in the previous lesson. Okay, and write a one paragraph explanation of where the pollutants in your area most likely come from. Okay, so let's break this up. The first thing you're going to do is you're going to go back to that website that you found in the lesson, and you're going to put in your zip code. So we're going to put in a zip code here where the IU is, which is Downingtown 19335. We're going to click go. Okay, and you'll see this will give you a regional area for the air quality index forecast. Okay, and here it is. So the air quality index for today is a 29. There is no health message. The air quality is good. And the air quality for tomorrow is going to be good. Okay, here are the pollutant details. Okay, basically, it talks about good air quality will rule through the next week. The weekend will feel like blah, 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 blah. And it goes on and it talks a little bit more about atmospheric quality. Um, and it talks about what are the pollutant details for the area. So the major air pollutants, despite the fact of being good, are ozone and particulates. Okay, those are the things for our area. Okay, and what you're going to do is, for this project, you're going to get a 7-day record of your area. So if your area is Philadelphia, you're going to type in a Philly zip code up here, and you're going to go. If your area were Los Angeles, we could go to California, and we could go to California, and we could plug that in, and we could find our area. We could go down to Los Angeles if we wanted to. If we wanted to look in Los Angeles, if we wanted to look in San Francisco, we could do that. We could find that information, using this, and we could find what the major particulates are. So here's Oakland, California. Ozone and particulates are a big one for that area. So in any event, what you're going to do is you're going to get 7 days of that data, okay, for your area where you live, and you do that, okay, you do that by entering your zip, going down below and finding out air quality archives. And you can find those archives here. Today is Monday, April 11th. They give you basically a 10-day log of previous archives. So you're going to give me 7 days worth of archives for our area, okay? And how you do that is entirely up to you. How you present that is up to you. You can put it in a chart. You can take screen captures and screen capture that information. It doesn't matter to me. In addition to that, then, okay, you're going to write a one paragraph explanation of where the pollutants in your area likely come from. So, using that information, okay, if ozone is in your area, you should know where ozone comes from as a secondary pollutant. Talk about where the major what are the major pieces that cause that air pollution to come from, okay, or that type of air from. If it's particulates, tell me about the origin of those particulates and where they come from. All right, so that's part one of the project. Part two is then consider the area that you live in, okay, wherever that is. If it's, if it's in Chester County, if it's in Philadelphia, if it's in Montgomery County, whatever, and write in at least one paragraph how each of the following factors could affect air pollution in your area. If none of them affect you, tell me why. Okay, so you're going to consider the presence of urban areas around where you live, the topography of the land. Is there hills or there mountains? Is it flat? Okay, the temperatures, the latitude. Okay, so for there, you're going to talk about, does your, when in terms of urban areas, do tall buildings, do your area have tall buildings that slow down winds that carry air pollutants away? Can mountains reduce the flow of air over that area and lead to pollutants building up in the valley? If we're talking about air temperatures, higher outdoor air temperatures lead to conditions that promote the development of smog. So that's something you may want to think about if you're living in the city. Um, are there not many factories that are around you? Is there not a lot of industry around you that pollute the air? Um, but maybe, you can think about things like volatile organic chemicals that can travel thousands of miles around the globe because of the air currents. Okay. Um, you can talk about the presence of stagnant cool air masses. Right now we're in a very historically cool period of time for really the middle of April. So you could talk about how that is playing or having an effect on pollution being around your area. So that's what I'm looking for part two of the project. So you can do that in a Word document as well. So this whole project, really, you could do part one and part two really in a Word document. It's probably the easiest thing to do. I'm going to look for spelling and grammar, complete sentence structure, and I'm looking for, especially in part one, in the paragraph, I'm looking for 5 to 6 sentences in that paragraph. In part two, I'm looking for about 5 to 6 sentences as well. Okay? If you get stuck or you need some help interpreting any of the graphs or the data, I'll be more than happy to help you. Please come into the virtual office and we can work on it together, or email me. I'll be more than happy to get you pointed in the right direction. We'll be back here next week going over a whole nother project as we're starting to move down towards the end of the year. We're actually going to talk a little bit about climate change next week. So with that, have a great week, everyone, and I look forward to seeing you throughout the week in the virtual office.